an unholy one, a villain. You must be ready to burn yourself in your own flame. How could you become new if you had not first become ashes?
Burn ourselves in our own flame.
To become anew. It's only the maids.
Your brother's here, in your bedroom.
Yes, I kept him at the door. He's too interfering.
He's seen the typewriter. I told you we had to keep it hidden.
He knows nothing. I've retyped the ransom note to include smaller bills like you asked. What was it? 8,000 in 50s and 2,000 in 20s.
We have to get rid of it.
What?
It has to go.
Why?
It can lead the cops to us. Was your brother standing in the doorway when you were typing that?
Some of it.
Jesus. Nathan, he could have seen the ransom note.
He didn't. Don't worry.
Do I look worried?
Agitated.
The cops are at the fraternity house.
Oh, I see.
Exactly.
Well, there's nothing to be alarmed at. We left no clues.
I spoke to them.
Who?
The cops.
Why?
Because I can. I had him practically saluting me when I gave him my family name. Told him, we don't want criminals breaking into our homes and slitting our throats at night. He said they were investigating a break-in when the frat boys had been out partying.
You're taking risks, Dickie. We were lucky stealing the typewriter, but talking to the cops? What if you'd have slipped up or said something out of
I
place?
didn't. I'm well versed in these things.
Detective stories and newspapers don't tell you everything, Richard.
They tell me enough. The fool confided that a typewriter had been stolen. Nothing to worry about, sir. Probably some capers from the frat house. Probably so, officer, I said. My family pay hefty taxes for law and order in Kenwood. You don't think the cops will find that unusual? A burglary, and the only item taken was a typewriter.
Capers, Dickie. Fraternity stuff. Just like the cops said. They're not worried about a typewriter.
They will be if they can connect our ransom note to it. We'll do it tonight.
We haven't sent out the ransom note. We've waited months. What's a little longer?
Tomorrow, the 21st of May, we initiate our plan, babe.
Our plan?
Yes. We'll drive out to Wolf Lake in the hire car. There's a nearby bridge southwest of the lake.
I know it. It's a frequent haunt of the black-crowned night heron.
If you say so. We'll throw the typewriter into the river from the bridge. I've the chisel, hydrochloric acid, chloroform, a rag, and some matches ready to put in the hire car tomorrow.
I'll collect it in the afternoon.
It will be ready. Remember, use the false name.
Morton D. Ballard, I know.
Yes. Good. Good. We can't mess this up, babe. It has to be perfect. This will be in all the newspapers. I can feel, smell, and taste our success. We'll drive near the Harvard High School and find someone appropriate.
Oh, not obese. Flabbiness repulses me.
Absolutely. I'm not keen to break my back either. This will bring us the fame we've sought. This is the one that will make the news, babe. The perfect murder, changing our destiny.
And what destiny do you seek?
Autonomy.
Oh.
My father worked for years as vice president at Sears Roebuck's. It sucked the fire right out of his belly, left him desiccated like the ancient papers in their legal archives. I'm not replicating that life, wasting away in tidy buildings, sitting in square rooms at square desks, writing on square paper with square thoughts.
And you want to own your destiny.
I do.
It'll never happen.
It will! This life is redundant if I can't have choices.
Families like ours won't allow it, Dickie. They'd cut off your inheritance in a hot flash. You know they would.
I have intelligence. I'll make my own mark in life.
How? They have our lives in a grip. We are each part of a dynasty. You've heard them talking at dinner parties and functions to other prominent men about how proud they are of their sons and their expectations for us. We've been bred for greatness, Dickie. To marry into the finest families in Chicago and carry on their fine lineage of wealth, control, and power. Do you think for 1 second that they would have spent 1 cent on our education for us to walk away from their ideals, their desires for us?
I desire something for myself. I'm not like them, and neither are you.
I agree. Once we initiate our beautiful plan, we will share something that no one but us will ever know.
Burn ourselves in our own flame to become new.
We'll follow our own laws, ethics, and morals. Damned be society! We'll inhabit our own inner caverns and forests. We'll accrue their wealth and their power and free ourselves.
Free.
Free.
This deed will live longer than we do.
It will.
Etched into the minds of everyone in Chicago. Spoken about in speakeasies.
Jazz halls.
From the lips of whores and pimps.
Politicians.
The great unwashed.
Al Capone.
J. Edgar Hoover.
President Coolidge.
King George the Fifth.
Pope Pius the 11th.
You devil, I'm beat.
Of course. What did you expect?
Let me read it.
Here. I've left space at the beginning to include the victim's parents' names. I followed it through with the dollar bill changes like you asked and signed it George Johnson.
I see that.
Well, smaller bills attract less attention. Perhaps I'll purchase some bird catalogs and field glasses.
Nice.
A new shotgun. I've seen one with a beautiful walnut stalk. I could have a bird engraved on it. A finch or a heron for that specialized finish.
That is a work of art.
It will be.
What do you mean it will be? It is.
I was describing my new purchases.
Plenty of time for toys. Here, take it. Keep it safe.
Of course.
It's perfect.
This is it, Dickie.
It is.
Ready?
I've thought of nothing else.
This is not arson, theft, assault, or any other petty crime we've committed.
No. This is going to be
Our biggest thrill.
What a thrill. What a hoot. I couldn't stand that cocky kid. I'm glad it was Bobby. I detested him. Funny how you can hate a kid.
We can send the ransom note to his parents.
Who would have thought tennis would be little Bobby's downfall?
Well,
Enticed with a new tennis racket.
greed runs in everyone. Is it 5051 Alice Avenue? Or?
5052.
Oh, of course.
Did I tell you about the time he beat me at tennis on my family's courts?
No.
He did. My father stood there and called me an embarrassment. to be beaten by my young cousin, an embarrassment. He said I was weak in the mind. Bobby laughed a cruel, hateful laugh. He didn't stop. I remember his knees. They were small, protrusive. I wanted to smash those knees with my racket, see if he could crawl back onto the court and beat me with crippled legs. Oh, his shrill voice rebuking me. "You're a useless player, Dickie! 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 And not worth my time, or your father's." He threw his racket at my feet and walked away, laughing. Laughing! I was dismissed by Bobby, too.
And now you have dismissed him.
Yes, I have. We have. He's not laughing now, is he?
No.
Silence is the grave,
Silent.
gone forever.
Forever.
Are we free?
What are you thinking?
Nothing?
What are you feeling?
Nothing. Absolutely nothing.
Then we are free, Dickie. No thought, no feeling.
New beginnings for us.
We have our own inner stars to guide us now, Dickie. Yet I desire more. Much more.
More. What can be more?
You. You. I worship you, Dickie.
Do you wish to please the king?
I do. I do.
Dance with me, slave. I'm too drunk to dance alone. Well, babe. Now we know who to deliver the ransom note to. We'll soon have some cash to amuse ourselves.
Oh, I adore you, Dickie. I could not have done anything like this without you.
You needed a mastermind.
I needed a master.
Nietzsche.
You know quite well whom I meant. Him aside, of course.
Almost menstrual.
Oh, don't say such things!
Girls, please.
Stop it! Stop it! It's filthy!
Okay.
Oh.
Okay. Was Nietzsche fond of birds like you?
He was indifferent to them as their nature drives their need. He said that no animal knows of their birth or has any knowledge of their upcoming death.
He admired their instinct.
Oh, instinct powers us all.
Your instinct is to protect birds. Yet you have quite the collection in your home. Did you kill them?
I'd say I sacrificed for my research. I had to apply for a gun permit, though the family name and money helped. As you know, it pays dividends. I secured a taxidermist to help me preserve their state. I adore them.
The dead birds.
Taxidermy mounts.
Taxidermy mounts.
Yes, to use the proper terminology.
Dead birds.
I prefer their stillness, their incapacity for flight. I talk to their feathers, beaks, claws.
When I was a child, I had a stuffed toy, a teddy bear. Stupid, really, but it was my only friend. I couldn't talk to other kids, but to Teddy, I could tell him anything, anything. He wouldn't tell on me, blackmail me, or do anything bad. I still have him today. We need to be around people, to be seen doing things in public.
Well, I'm delivering a lecture at Michigan University on the cowbird tomorrow. I think that should suffice.
I'll visit Mama Bones tonight. Plenty of booze, dancing, jazz.
Writhing, perspiring bodies. It sounds hellish.
Come with me.
Stop it. Stop it. What are you doing?
Come with me.
Oh, but I couldn't bear it. And there is material I want to read in preparation for tomorrow. Have you seen my eyeglasses?
No. Can you read your study material in the university library where you can be seen?
Is that really necessary?
Just be more visible. Oh, will you burn the shirts?
Of course. Everybody is asleep. I'll burn them in the gardener's bin.
Good. I'll see you after your lecture. I'll post this tonight, and hopefully we'll soon have some cash to amuse ourselves. Tally ho!
I'm Clarence Darrow, defense attorney for Nathan Leopold Jr.
Not guilty.
and Richard Lowe.
Not guilty.
They're guilty. They're guilty of the abduction and the murder of 14-year-old Bobby Franks, whose naked, mutilated body was found in a nature conservation area close to Wolf Creek. An horrific crime, and one that has the whole of Chicago and beyond talking about.
Spoken about in speakeasies.
Jazz hall.
From the lips of whores and pimps.
Politicians.
The great unwashed.
Al Capone.
J. Edgar Hoover.
President Coolidge.
King George the Fifth.
Pope Pius XI.
The public are demanding that these boys are hanged by the neck from the gallows. Now, we've heard all the testimonies from Prosecutor Crowe and his witnesses, and there's a lot to be said for the information given by the alienists who studied my client's case thoroughly. Now, they say that they are both of above average intelligence, but with some kind of neurological derangement. Neurological derangement that could cause some dysfunction in their thoughts and behaviors. Now, I would like to further question those findings and recall Dr. Lawrence Heath to the stand.
Dr. Lawrence Heath.
Dr. Lawrence Heath.
Dr. Heath, thank you for agreeing to be here today in your professional capacity as alienist. Your understanding of my client's mental judgment is greatly appreciated.
I'm here to help in any way that I can.
Thank you, sir. It's much appreciated. Could I start by asking you to give your findings, your professional findings, on Nathan Leopold?
Well, Nathan suffered emotionally as a young child. He was teased, bullied, and lonely. He had a strong attachment to his mother, who was often bedridden due to complications after Nathan's birth.
Did he suffer any pathological traits as a youngster?
Well, it's possible he could blame himself for his mother's condition.
So, correct me if I'm wrong, Doctor. Are you saying he blames himself for causing his mother's pain for being born?
It's possible. His avoidance of female interaction and lack of emotion could have caused a break in the brain. His mother was far too incapacitated to fully engage with him, and a governess was hired to educate Nathan. Now, that governess, she abused him. She sexually abused him when he was just 12 years old. And this distance him further from reality, and this drive became the focus of his intellect, which she relies on completely when not indulging in his fantasies.
So are you saying the actions of his governess attributed to a division in his behavior?
Yes.
And these fantasies, what are they?
Well, he can transport himself to a world of fantasy where he imagines himself to be a slave.
A slave, is that not just a whim of a young adolescent?
No, not at all, not a whim. Nathan has trained his intellect where he can be subjected to trials of sorts and impose them on others. He has given himself the role of slave to a king.
But could this not be schoolboy dreams of reading too many tales of fantasy and adventure brought on by his isolation?
No. Everything within Nathan's fantasies is of his own construction. He is in control of events. His trials tend to be sexual. He finds release in creating scenes of a homosexual nature.
But he never acted out in the real world away from his mind and its confines.
As with Richard Lowe, the petty crimes increased. The boys were involved with some, the burning of bars, burglary, and such. Nathan agreed to help Richard if Richard would allow him to. Richard would. This is a very delicate matter, Mr. Darrow.
I understand that, Doctor, but we also need to understand why these boys committed the crimes that they did. Now, they murdered a 14-year-old boy. 14! Plucked at random. Plucked at random. Now, Doctor, we need you not to hold back on these fantasies.
Yes, of course. After each crime, they agreed that Nathan could place his penis between Richard's thighs. The petty crimes increased and his sexual fantasies became more elaborate to the point that Richard the king would pretend to be drunk and Nathan his slave would rape him.
Would you care for a glass of water, Doctor?
No, thank you, I'm quite all right.
In that case, could I ask you for your professional findings on Richard Lowe?
Well, Richard's upbringing was again similar to Nathan's in that there was a lack of emotional interplay within his younger years of development. He showed early signs of high intelligence, yet he was schooled by a governess who displayed a dominance in ways that were, they were unorthodox.
Unorthodox how?
She would lock him in broom cupboards. She would frighten him with threats of isolation. She would remove his favorite toys as punishment. She would intimidate and bully him to study and pay attention to her. He was used to getting his own way, yet this formidable force challenged him. And as intelligent as he was, he would pacify his governess and his family by lying. He started to confide in his only friend, Bear. Teddy Bear, which he still talks to today.
A teddy bear.
Yes. Richard displays signs of infantilism.
Infantile? Are you saying that he's not matured mentally?
His endeavours into petty crime and fantasy fulfill a childish urge in him.
So how does a young man with such a high degree of intellect plummet to infantile behavior?
Look, Mr. Darrell, there is a line of thought that both Richard and Nathan's endocrine glands have been compromised during childhood. This can create emotional behaviors that operate in a more disengaged state, shall we say.
Well, Doctor, could you give us an example of those disengaged states?
Nathan is socially awkward, especially around women. He lacks empathy and respect. He treats people with contempt. He found an ally in Nathan to agree to aid him. But it didn't work out.
Oh.
She cannot help it acting the way we do due to the neurological derangement.
Because of their childhood environments?
But I'd say that played a large part in it. Look, intellect can erase emotion with dire consequences. Nathan knew he had disappointed Richard, but he just couldn't show it.
How?
The loss of the eyeglasses. He dropped them while they were placing Bobby's naked body in a drain near Wolf Lake.
Well, Doctor, that's unlucky for them.
It was. Those glasses, they had a unique engine and that was registered to Nathan.
So premeditated murder. Did you ever discover why they did it?
Well, Nathan said it was a perfect plan initiated by Richard. They planned it for months. They didn't care. They said they were bored and needed a thrill. It provided sexual engagement with Richard. It made him feel alive.
And Richard?
Oh, Richard. He lives more in a fantasy than a reality. He didn't care who the victim was at all. In fact, they said they planned on killing Nathan's older brother before the start of their planning. He felt no remorse for murdering Bobby Franks.
Dr. Heath, thank you for your testimony today. Please, step down. Why did this happen? Two teenage boys, both from affluent families in the Kenwood area of Chicago. They're living through an age of excess, with unparalleled access to wealth, wild music, fast cars, a purely hedonistic lifestyle. These boys should not face capital punishment for their crimes. They're children. They should be spared the gallows. They're children, they're neurologically damaged children. How can we legally justify killing children?
I've heard all accounts of prosecution and defense. As extraordinary as it is that the defense put forward a guilty verdict at the beginning of this trial, this leaves the decision in my hands and not of the jury to decide. There is no mistake that Richard Loeb and Nathan Hood committed this brutal and horrifying act of murder on Bobby Franks. They are predators who share the same teeth. Their disregard for life in search of a thrill was cruel, calculated, and sexually motivated. Bobby Franks was enticed into the car by Richard, who pretended to show him a tennis racket. He was then dragged from the front seat and into the car, into the rear. He then struck him in the head several times with a chisel. He was then dragged from the front. And there, a chloroform rag was stuffed deep into his throat. Bobby Franks, 14, asphyxiated in the rear of the Willis Night car. At Wolf Lake, his body was stripped naked and placed in a drainage pipe near the lake. Hydrochloric acid that was then poured on his face, stomach, and genitals to remove his identity. Now, this didn't work to the extent that the murderers wanted, and the stain went orange, and his body was still able to be identified. They discarded the typewriter that they had stolen from the fraternity chapter in the river from the bridge. The key lettering matched those to the ransom note, and the address was written in Nathan's hand.
It was perfect. Our execution was perfect. No one would have known, and we could have lived our lives knowing we did something great. Without
Silence.
the consequences of your courts and policing systems.
Silence.
Are we to take this seriously when our defense has more in common with a scarecrow than a lawyer?
Silence.
Do you not understand what's happening in this courtroom today? I am trying to save your lives.
Do you think this matters to us, Mr. Darrow? At least we are presentable. What is your excuse for shabbiness?
Enough of your outbursts, enough.
Your Honor, this is what the alienists were talking about with their summation of neurological derangement.
I'm quite aware, Mr. Darrow. All the evidence is before me, and I have made my decision.
Your Honor, capital punishment must be a last resort.
Money can buy anything, can it, Mr. Darrow?
Even a cornfield for you to stand in.
Silence. Nathan Leopold and Richard Lowe, you have both had your defense represented by Mr. Clarence Darrow. The evidence against you is overwhelming. Your defense attorney has agreed that you committed the crime and has acted courageously to save you both from the gallows. Now, due to your young ages, I sentence you both to life imprisonment. In that time, I want you to think on the life of Bobby Franks and the life that he should have had, and how have you affected the Franks family, and not only, but also the Leopold and Loeb families. Take them away.
We nearly did it!
What a thrill.
We came so close.
Perfect.